like one thing that stood out, like when you do your comedy is like, you know, curse.
Yeah.
Right? And I was talking to another producer of mine, JS1, shout out to him, and we were just saying like how cursing is funny.
For sure.
Right? It's funny. It kind of makes
Very
it funny.
funny.
Just words. And the fact that you don't do it, but you worked hard at and you gained the audience from it.
Yeah.
Like that's something special.
For sure. I mean, that came from I didn't cuss as a kid. Like I was a church kid and we could not cuss. You just could not. And I didn't want to be that. And I'm talking about never slip up. Like you couldn't. I just didn't believe I could cuss at school and while I'm hooping and not slip up at home. So I was just like, I'm just not going to do it. And honestly, I just felt like that was a sin for real. Like this is God. Like I was churchy. Now, fornication, okay, we make mistakes. Okay?
We pick and choose.
But cussing, for me, this is crazy. So on stand-up, I didn't cuss either, but it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to like, it wasn't like a badge of honor thing. It was just like, I don't cuss at all, so let me work harder. However, I would see, you know, when I was starting stand-up, Nate Jackson had a comedy club he has a comedy club still, but he had a comedy club then. And not only would I perform every week, I would go there and I would watch every single comedian from the first opener to the headliner for years. Like I wanted to see how you won, how you struggled, how you handled when the audience was chatty. Because I seen some celebrities take some L's and I seen some openers kill.
Crazy.
Right? But I watched every single person. And sometimes I was like, oh, you just cussing as a bailout. Like but that's not the only bailout. Sometimes a sex joke is a bailout. Sex jokes will draw your attention. If people aren't paying attention, you like, man, coochie. They be like, all right, now what he say? You know what I'm saying? So, but I do believe you have to be a little funnier if you're not gonna cuss, because cussing is like seasoning.
Yeah.
Right. You really it makes things funnier. And this isn't like I'm better than you. Like if I grew up cussing, I would cuss on stage. You know what I'm saying? But I wanted to be a comedian like Sinbad. When you watch a Sinbad special, you're not like, you don't automatically think he cussed or he didn't cuss. You're just like, he's funny. And then you might be like, oh, I don't think he cussed. I can't remember him cussing. But it wasn't like so clean that you're like, okay, we get it. You know, it's full of church jokes or full of like corny jokes. Like, you know, I just talked about my life without cussing. But
So-
the material wasn't necessarily completely clean.
You never wanted to add some of that in as a bailout? Because I know you probably had some hard shows, right? And it's like your mind never went to, I know you didn't curse as a kid, but it never went to like, all right, maybe if I add some cursing, it'll help those hard shows. Never.
No, because that ain't me. Like, I feel like if I did that, that would feel so inauthentic. And I felt like for me, I know that's a cheap out. Like, honestly, part of what I love about comedy is it's hard. Like, I enjoy crafting a new joke and finding out how to make it funny and how to make it funnier. Comedy is one of the few entertainment disciplines that you can't practice alone. Like, you don't know. It doesn't matter how funny it is by yourself. You can say it in the mirror a million times. You don't know how it's going to land. Everything is funny to me when I think of it as a joke. But you actually got to try it out on the audience to see if it really works. And then you got to craft it. Like, is this word there, or should I start this, or should I go here, or something like that? Like, it's like a puzzle. So if that's never a part of my repertoire,
I don't even know it exists.
yeah, I can't bail myself out with something that I don't do.
So I only asked that because I'm getting into the conversation of integrity, right? Before I
Yeah.
go there, though, like I know it's times where, again, I'm trying to be relatable. Like, it's things that's not me, but again, I see it and it works, and it's like, man, well, maybe I'm getting in my own way. Maybe I
Yeah.
can do this,
Yeah.
and I can compromise my integrity for the sake of my career, right? And I'm thinking, I'm like, well, I've never done it, but I always look at myself like, is this what's holding me back?
See, I think it's not. And that's a good point, because if you're on the internet, a lot of things are trends and cyclical and stuff. And I have this example I often use. I've been on the internet a long time. I remember there was a stark shift in male content creators starting on women's bodies, like maybe 2013, 2014. All of a sudden, titties and butt became
The thumbnail.
thumbnail, the first shot. It was like sketches would start off on titties, pull back, and it'd be like, what you think about Chick-fil-A nuggets? Completely unrelated to the thing, to whatever the thing was. Yeah, it was crazy.
I was not on the internet at this
No,
time.
it's
2013 to like until YouTube start penalizing your
Yep.
thumbnails for that, people built careers off of that, fake pranks, stuff like that. And I watch people go from, I had maybe 100,000 on Instagram, maybe 150 at this time. I watched people who had 5,000, 6,000 go from that to 1 million in 3 months, running that same play over and over, right? Of course, I would be like, dang, they really blowing past me. But I could never do something I didn't believe in, because to me, what's more important than growing fast is being able to sleep at night. Like, I couldn't sleep at night knowing I don't really want to do this, because that's like, to me, that's your soul. Like, that's your purpose. I can't do something I know ain't me, because also I got to look back at it too. Like, that's the other thing about the internet. It's a receipt forever. Like, my dad used to tell me, once you post that video, if you post it in 1 second and delete it, it's up forever, right? So 10 years from now, people are going to go back and be like, didn't he objectify women to get where he was? So you can't do that to me. You can go back through all my videos. You can't be like, he built his career like this. Now, it's been slower, but it's been truer. And I think that is extended before the internet. I used to work at a bank, and there was a time period where it was, I'll just say, the executives looked the other way on a lot of shady stuff right before the housing market bubble burst in like 2008. And I remember my personal bankers, they were like doing shady stuff. They like, you want to buy a home? They would, especially this one lady, she had a huge base of customers who English was their second language, but they had a lot of businesses and they had good credit. And she would say, oh, you want to buy a home? Okay, give me 20% down. They'd be like, bet. 20% down. She would make their loan. Then, without their knowledge, she would get them a second line of credit, right? Home equity line of credit without them knowing. And because they didn't speak English, they didn't really know what was happening. And as long as you didn't draw on it, you technically, there was no, like, she wasn't charging them anything. However, she's hitting their credit again and giving them a loan against their knowledge. And then a few months later, she would refinance that second back into their first. And as long as their payment didn't change too much, they wouldn't notice what happened. She ran this play for like 3-4 years. Wow. She got awards. She got bonuses. She getting $7,000, $8,000, $10,000 bonuses quarterly. And then right when the housing market was about to crash, she quit, took all those bonuses, put them in CDs at that bank, and left. And then her customers would come to my desk and be like, yo, what? They would come with like their kids to interpret it. And they're like, yo, what happened? So I ended up having to tell all these people, yo, she kind of did you wrong. This is what she did. And they were like, bruh, like, this is my life. Like, they'd be violently upset. And I used to be like, bruh, I live in this town. I don't want to go to I was living in Washington. There's a Puyallup Fair. I don't want to be at the Puyallup Fair with my family and somebody hit me in the back of the head with a brick because I done cheated them, right? And the bonus wasn't worth it to me. So I applied that same thing to content. Like, if I got to be untrue to myself to get it, it ain't really worth that. I always will go back to work a regular job. There's more integrity to me that if I got a job as a garbage man, got up and ran my truck, and I thought about this. I was like, bro, garbage man get off work early. I don't mind getting up early. If ran my truck and lived my life, got home by 2 o'clock, played with my kids, I'd rather do that than build a career off of something that I don't really believe in. And no, I feel like it would just eat away at my soul. But to answer your question fully, sometimes you're like, dang, they really blowing up like that. But at the end of the day, I couldn't do something I didn't stand by and have peace at night. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I never did that. And I think I've been rewarded for having integrity more than doing whatever's necessary. Because I don't want to step on people's necks and do whatever's necessary, because this is my actual life. Like, my kids see my content. My grandma sees my content. I want my family to be proud of what I've done. Not like, yeah, Kev did it, but I don't really rock with all that stuff, But he getting money, but like, getting money ain't the only thing. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have money for a long time in my life, and we had a good time.
Can you name somebody who's got super successful, and did it, I guess, the right way? Because when I think of people, like, it's always been something. Even if we could argue if they was wrong or not, right? We look at Jay-Z and how he left. What was it?
Dame Dash.
Yeah, Rockefeller.
Dame Dash.
Right?
Yeah.
We look at P. Diddy. We look at all of the people that's like really successful. It always came with something. Even if it was like, it could argue if they was right or wrong, right?
Yeah.
But I'm like, who is somebody that's like great that ain't have nothing along with, I don't want to say nothing, but like just a clean slate?
I don't think that exists, because I think You're always going to be the villain in somebody else's story if you reach that level of success, right? I don't think you can reach that. And I'm not even saying they actually do people wrong.
Yeah,
but
of
I
course,
think enough people probably feel like you left me. And I think that's going to be the case for me. Like, if I were to reach that level of success, Tyler Perry, Jay-Z, somebody in my life is going to feel like Kev did me wrong. We were supposed to do this together. He left me, or whatever the case is. So the short version of your answer is I don't think anybody I could say is clean. Like, if I say Oprah, there's people who be like, nah, Oprah did this and she did that, and she's responsible for Dr. Phil, even if she didn't know what Dr. Phil and Dr. Oz. I can't speak to whether she knew what Dr. Oz would become later, but because she put him on, she's going to bear some of the responsibility for his actions post her, regardless of if she knew at the time. And I think that, that will be the case for me. So somebody going to be mad when